Good morning. Welcome to the DFS YouTube channel. I am Razzle11, and you can find me on X at Razzle11Grinds. Going to take a look at some pitching for today, the 21st of August. It is Wednesday. We do have a 4-game day slate and an 8-game main slate this evening. I have not heard about any weather issues yet, so we will just dig in for what the pitching's worth without any worries. As always, I will be looking at DraftKings as that is where a majority of my action is. If you do play on FanDuel, I would cut my pool into about a third or a half, kind of depending. Um, Pricing isn't quite as tight. Scoring system being slightly different also weighs in that decision. But let's take a look here at pitching. Start with this four gamer. Just real quick look at it. At the top, Logan Webb for sure. Pitching at home against the worst team in baseball. Has gone 30 plus in three out of his last four starts. Those three starts, all at home. Throwing a bunch of pitches. They're just letting him work. Just no reason to, I guess, not play him. I mean, if you want to try to play the ownership angle, obviously he's gonna be super uh, popular, but I think there's just other ways on the slate to be creative, and it mostly coming down to the bats on the slate. Justin Verlander making his return tentatively, it looks like. Um, Having thrown just 57 pitches in his last rehab outing, uh, and with the tentatively returning thing, I just don't think we can go there against Boston. I mean, maybe we have to because of the four-game slate, but I would not be shocked to see him just throw 70 pitches or just four innings. Uh, they do need this starter. They need to make sure he's ready postseason wise. Obviously, they have to still keep winning to make sure they end up in the postseason. But still, I just think that they treat him cautiously, and also he's he's somebody that I don't think returns from IL stints very strongly. I think it takes him a little bit, so I do have some worries. But again, options on the slate are not there. Garrett Crochet. I wish we could use him in this ballpark, in this spot, because I think there's plenty of upside. The issue is, they're pretty much going to limit him. Four innings ish, maybe 60 to 70 pitches, somewhere in there. Um, on this slate, could that be enough to be the SP2? It actually might be. So the more I kind of think of it, the more he might be in play. The problem is he's got to be super effective with the strikeouts in those, four-ish innings. I don't know how likely that is, so I don't think he's somebody I'm excited about using. Sean Manaea against Baltimore, probably not going to get there. You know, I think a lot of people see these two starts in a row and think we can get there. Hit a decent spot against Miami was just okay. Just not overly excited to use pitching in this game, uh, so that's going to be a problem. Um, Irvin just to me doesn't have enough upside at the major league level to want to play him. Uh, Domingo German, man, I don't know. Like if he was completely stretched out or something, I think I would use him. But I think we're just gonna have to use Andrew Haney in this game, even though he's not overly exciting recently as well. Um, it's just a crap slate, to be honest, from a pitching standpoint. So I really think it's Logan Webb, and then work on your bats, and then figure out what fits to be honest. And I hate admitting that because that's something I don't really do at the pitcher position. But we have to adapt based on what slate we see in front of us. All right, let's jump into the main. We get Flaherty against Seattle. Huge strikeout upside. He's a minus 166 favorite. K prop, excuse me, of 7.5. He's given up a couple home runs in each of his last two starts. That's always frustrating, but the strikeouts are there. 10 against Pittsburgh, 7 plus in 4 out of his last 5 starts. Just a ton of K upside, so I'm very interested in it. Logan Gilbert on the other side. K prop of 5.5. Juice on the over. Mentioned he is the underdog. Not as much K upside in the spot. Hasn't been as strong on the road. I mean, he's still been pretty good though, but I think he's worth a sprinkle. But that Dodger lineup is getting healthy. Max Muncy's returned with power. Um, just a lengthened out lineup makes it a lot tougher than it was, 2.5 weeks ago or so. Nola against Atlanta. I want to kind of dig in to see what his career numbers have been. This season, they have not been good, giving up a ton of home runs against them. Um, he's a slight underdog. Atlanta's minus 118 favorite. K prop of 5.5. Um, I prefer to not go too super heavy on him. He hasn't been all that great over the last month, to be honest. But obviously, that Atlanta lineup has been weakened with the loss of Austin Riley. Um, so maybe he ends up finding his way into our pool. I just don't feel great about it, to be honest. Nestor Cortez pitching at home, where he has been at his strongest. He did struggle with Cleveland earlier. Cleveland's actually the best win-loss team or winning percentage team in baseball against left-handed pitching. I just can't go to Cortez at this point. Max Fried struggled with Philadelphia. Hasn't been as strong at home. Hasn't been super sharp since his return from the IL. With that said, kind of a gut feeling. Like I feel like we might have to have a little exposure to him. His K prop's 5.5 as well, with juice strongly on the over. And like I mentioned, he is a minus 118 favorite. Game total of just 8 between those two pitchers. So I think Fried might be somebody I want to sprinkle in, which could surprise some people. Jameson Taillon taking on a Detroit team that Javier Assad carved up pretty well. He has been at his best when pitching at home. His last couple starts and 3 out of his last 4 have not been very good. He's not a huge K guy. Obviously, that's a worry. Hasn't gone over 16 fantasy points in nearly a month and a half. So recent trends just aren't ideal for him. K prop's 5.5 with juice on the under. Um, he is a minus 162 favorite. Game total of just 7.5. So I do wonder if we have some wind blowing in Wrigley. That's obviously something we want to pay attention to for sure. Ryan Pepiot returned from the IL. Was excellent against Oakland the first time he faced them. Was pretty strong in his return. Definitely somebody I have interest in utilizing this evening. A minus 130 road favorite. Game total of 7.5. With juice on the under, might I add. K prop of 5.5. Great K spot for him against this Oakland team. Does a decent job of limiting home runs. Seems like when he does allow them, they come in bunches, but he hasn't allowed a home run actually in 6 starts, 7, 8 starts, roughly. Um, yeah, definitely somebody I want to use, and I like the price point quite a bit. Tobias Myers was solid against St. Louis the first time. His overall numbers have been better when on the road. K numbers are worse, but Not a huge K guy generally, anyways, but he can pop off once in a while. K prop is just 4.5. Juice on the under. It is a pick 'em right now in that game. Game total 8. Uh, I think I want to use him, but I'm not overly excited about jamming him in. He's probably more like a 15% type play at this point. Kyle Gibson has been pretty strong against the Brewers. He just hasn't been super good. He's actually just been really bad at home. I was trying to sugarcoat it, but whip of 163, batting average against of 300. It's a lot of base runners. Coming off of a game where he allowed 4 home runs. Just not somebody that excites me at all. I think Myers has the slightly better matchup, so that's why I think I'm going to prefer him in that game. So I'm not really going to end up on Kyle Gibson at this point. Michael Lorenzen against the Angels has made 2 starts against them this year, lost both of them, despite barely giving up any hits. The walks were the big issue. Coming off a pretty strong performance. So I'm interested in Lorenzen. Uh, I think it's just we just pick on the Angels quite a bit as the season winds down. He's a minus 198 favorite. Game total of 9 though in the game, which is kind of high. His K prop's just 4.5 with juice on the under, so we're just not going to get a ton of Ks most likely. He does have K upside at times. Um, he does have some walk issues. It's always a worry, but I just really like the matchup enough that I'm willing to take some shots there. Not a huge percentage play either. Um, just kind of a sprinkle. Yariel Rodriguez pitching at home, where he's been strongest overall. Coming off of a rough start against the Cubs. Not sure if the wind was blowing out that day in Wrigley or not. I'd have to look back. Uh, he has now progressed to the upper 80s in pitch count. Always a plus. They've really kept the reins in on him all season long. K prop of 5.5 juices on the under. He's a slight home dog. Um, but I want to sprinkle him in because the matchup itself gives him a bunch of upside. Um, we were on him here in this matchup against Seattle because the matchup always gave him upside. He didn't blow the strikeout numbers away, but uh, nearly 28 fantasy points, his best start of the year. I like his ability. I just wish that he would throw, 6+ innings at it once in a while. But uh, again, I just think there's upside in that against that Cincinnati lineup. There's a ton of volatility. Don't get me wrong, but there is upside for me, and that's what we're looking for. Nick Martinez has been pretty decent lately. I don't think there's a ton of K upside in this matchup against Toronto, but the overall Toronto lineup has been weakened quite a bit. So he's somebody that I might have to consider some sprinkles here. K prop of just 3.5 with juice on the over. But like I mentioned, he is a minus 115 favorite. So uh, somebody that does intrigue me enough that I might want to go there. No interest in Mitch Bentz really. Johnny Cueto pitching for the Angels. Sure. I'm just not going to use him against the hotter Kansas City offense right now. So, but there you have it. There's the first look at pitching for the day. If you enjoy what I bring to you, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on, get the alert anytime we drop videos here at DFS Army. If you want to join us and get access to our coaches, tools, sheets, Discord, etc., I will put links in the description below. You can use promo code RAZ, that's RAZ, for 10% off monthly. And as always, best of luck, everybody.